Welcome to Season 3 of the Get Out of Teaching podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Diakos. In each episode of this season, I'll be coaching a teacher around one aspect of their move out of education. You'll have the privilege of listening in on the powerful coaching conversations that move people closer to a life they love. So come along for the ride as we get out of teaching. Episode 5. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the show. On today's show, I'm really excited to be speaking with Leisa McMahon. Thanks for coming on the show, Leisa.
Oh, thanks for having me, Elizabeth. Pleasure to be here.
So, Leisa, tell us a little bit about your background in education and what you're up to right at the moment.
Sure. Well, I've been teaching on and off for 33 years this year, so a long time. So I've gone from part-time, built up to full-time, to permanent, back to resign, back to casual, and I'm still a casual teacher in the public system here in New South Wales now.
Okay, and so what is the context that you want to discuss today? Like how can we make this a really awesome conversation for you?
Sure. So I have spoken to you before, and I'm back here again. And I guess the issue's been underlying issue is where do I go? How do I get out of teaching? And I've tried a couple of times, and my first attempt was a long time ago. I retrained as a personal trainer and gym instructor back in 1999, and I love that. That's my passion, and I still live that life. Unfortunately, financially, I had to go back to teaching and stayed there for another 10 years until I thought, I'll try something different again still in the health industry, which was massage. So I started doing my massage whilst I was teaching. Took me 4 years to get a diploma of massage, and started massaging around the same time I was leaving teaching in Tasmania in Australia. Quickly decided that wasn't for me either, and I've come back to teaching.
What was that about? Why wasn't that for you?
That's a really good question, actually, and I had to dig really deep why that wasn't feeling right. During the time I was massaging, I was doing a lot of self-discovery work on obviously myself, and with the massage, whilst I love it myself, it's one of my favourite self-care things to do, and I have a couple of months. I quickly decided it wasn't meant for me because it's a very solitary job. I was going from teaching, which is totally the opposite, as everybody knows, I guess, who tunes in here, which is noisy and overwhelming, and I was picking what I was craving, which was the peace. However, it was really too much for me, too solitary, and I wasn't talking, which I've quickly discovered is one of my strengths. So I was stopping myself from doing what I do best, which is talking. So I went back to teaching, as I said earlier, only casual.
How long ago was that, Leisa?
That was, I was doing a little bit in New South Wales about 3 years ago, or maybe 2 years ago. I've just been doing a few here and there. Actually, not since COVID. I haven't done anything since COVID with all the restrictions. So I've stuck to the teaching.
Right.
Which has been tricky, as everybody knows.
So you've been able to get some work, which is great over that period because, down here in Victoria, a lot of casual teachers weren't able to get work and it made it really difficult for them. So, but now you're again at this kind of crossroad where you're like, it's time to try again. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. You've absolutely nailed that. I feel really grateful I've had work, and I really have. We missed out on, I'm in New South Wales, as you know, and I missed out on 2 weeks' work. And then we were given, casuals were well looked after here, and I was given a couple of days. And I did have a lot of casual work as well. So I managed to get a lot of work, which I'm very, very grateful for. I don't want to ever sound ungrateful. And I feel for teachers in Victoria who have missed out. And I know you've got a big audience from overseas as well, so I really feel for them. So I'm very grateful for what I've had, but I'm still longing for something different.
Yeah. So
to what I'm doing.
When we've spoken before, it sounded to me like that fitness side of things really was what was making your heart sing. That was really where your passion. I can see, for those of you who are listening, you can't see Lisa's eyes lighting up when I talk about that. So tell us what would be, well, first of all, what would make this conversation a really helpful conversation for you?
You always ask some fabulous questions, and which makes me think really deep. And that's what I love, and that's what self discovery is all about. It's doing your own as well as talking to other people and holding those conversations where you have to think quite deeply about what it is you really love, what you desire, what your strengths are. I've had a really good think. I know my strengths, and it's just directing those, putting those in the right direction, if you know what I mean. It is working out what you...
How would we measure that? So for this conversation, how we measure if we've been able to successfully identify... I don't know, you tell me, what do we need to identify? What do we need to discover in this conversation?
I guess it's just helping me work out, I know my strengths, but it's talking about those. It's giving me some ideas. I guess it's just having that conversation. I remember our last call, and we did have that talk around fitness, and you gave me some food for thought, and I went away and did that, put that into action, and look, some of that worked, and I think I was telling you, Elizabeth, I got a job this year. Gosh, it seems so long ago. It was only a couple of months ago. And it was working in children's health, life education. I don't know if you've heard of it down in Victoria. It is a national program, I think, with Healthy Harold.
Yep, the giraffe.
With the giraffe.
Yep.
And I did get a position for the south coast of up here in New South Wales. And I had to turn that down for financial reasons, sadly. It was addressing my passion of health and children, still educating others, but it came back to the finances for me.
So really,
sadly,
that wasn't a viable job.
No, it wasn't. No, I would have been losing money.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's disturbing for the people who do work there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
well, I think, sorry, I'll just say I don't think they require teaching requirements.
Okay.
Qualifications, that's the word I'm looking for. So they don't require teaching qualifications, and I would have just been coming down the pay scale.
Yeah, understand.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was an opportunity there. It wasn't really a good fit, so you said no to it. That sounds reasonable. So getting back to my question, what would make this a great conversation for you? How will we measure success? Like, do you need 3 ideas or 2 insights? Like, what would make it helpful?
I guess always I appreciate the ideas. If you have that conversation, I love the ideas. A couple of ideas would be good. I think last time we talked about contacting Michelle Bridges, and I did that without success, and still love a job with Michelle Bridges, but some ideas would be fabulous.
Okay. Oh, well, maybe when I share this episode, we better tag her in on the LinkedIn post, hey?
Yes. Be my dream job.
Okay, so tell me more about what your dream job would be. Let's explore that for a moment.
Ooh, what is that dream job? Look, I've always thought it'd be in the health and fitness world, and I've thought about going back there into gym management, something like that. I think I've done my time doing gym classes. I'm still looking for that right fit where I belong now. I used to know, it was doing classes, taking classes, doing your abs, butts and thighs and all that. I did that for years. Still looking for that. Where I belong in the gym now is in a management role, looking after a gym, something like that.
Right, okay. And have you done anything about that? Like, have you made any overtures anywhere?
No, I haven't, because of there's been some uncertainty around where I'm living at the moment. So am I going to be on the South Coast? Am I moving to Sydney? I'm back in Newcastle. I need some certainty around where I need to be. So I'm just looking for a sign.
Right, okay.
And
so if it's not, if it's something you're willing to share, that there's 3 locations that are fairly spread apart there. How will you make that decision about where to live? Because that is, if you're going to be in gym management where it's in person, like you have to be there, it does really make a bit of a difference where you're actually located.
Yeah, it certainly does. Look, I think I moved down to the South Coast, New South Wales, and it's a beautiful place. I belong on the coast. I'm a coast girl. But with the whole COVID thing that happened last year, it was very isolating for me. I live alone. It was a real eye-opener. And whilst, I'm living the dream life on the coast, it was a lonely dream life. So I've really got to make sure that where I'm putting my energy for a job is where I want to be, with more people. I'm craving some more social time with people. So is it Sydney? Is it I've lived in Newcastle. I love it here. And
right.
Is it to come back here?
Newcastle's nice because you get the beach, but you've still got civilization, haven't you? But it's not crazy like Sydney.
Absolutely. Like I'm here now, as you know, and I'm loving it. And look, your heart speaks to you as well. I'm very heart-centered, and I'm back here. I'm happy. I'm by the beach. There's lots of surfing going on at the moment. The Rip Curl Pro's on. It's great vibe, and Newcastle's just a wonderful place to be. So it may mean coming back here and looking for that dream job here.
So is it something that you could create for yourself? Like, is any of this something that you could make happen rather than waiting for someone to offer you the perfect job?
I've been down the lines of starting a little business when I was doing I dabbled in it with my personal training many, many years ago. Even with my massage, I was coming into when I started my massage, I was coming into the social media platform, and it was quite scary for me, and I quickly realised that I wasn't even around technology with my with my lack of skills this morning. I quickly realised it gave me a lot of overwhelm. All the business side, I'm better off if someone else is doing it. I'm happy to take that back seat and just work there. I'm a real people person.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, I was just saying the people side of things is where you really shine.
Absolutely. And I did a little part-time job last Christmas doing casual work. People here would know that we have a lot of time off over Christmas. We've got 6 weeks before you may even get work again. So I went back to waitressing, thought, oh, I'll move to a new area or I'll start waitressing. And that was a real eye-opener in itself. And whilst I loved the social side of it, and I'd get talking to people and welcoming. Where I live, we had a lot of Sydney visitors, and I did that quite well. That's my skill set. I was terrible at describing the food and what was coming out, and I was in a fairly ritzy restaurant and I didn't even know the food to tell them, and we had to describe the food. So I quickly realised at food and wine I was terrible, and I thought that's not the job for me. I just need a job I can talk to people. So you work out where your skill set is and where you feel confident.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Is there, if you were going to go down the fitness pathway, is there a kind of a niche of people that you'd like to work with?
Look, that's a good question. I always loved my gym work. It was very early days, 99 I think I started. It's different back then. Look, I think I'd go back into gyms. There's some big gyms up here. I remember in Newcastle. I might have to have a little look around while I'm here. Yeah, I don't know. I've got to put some more thought into it.
Oh, yeah, I'm just wondering, like, would you have a focus on, say, a particular age group, or, you know, people recovering from injuries, or like, is there a particular area that interests you? So I met a guy in a webinar the other day who is focusing on 60 plus women who are in their 60s who want to regain some fitness and make that, you know, sort of be able to be quite fit for life. So basically I'm the target market, right? Not quite 60 yet, but heading in that direction. And I was just laughing with him and saying, oh, you know, that could be me. And, you know, like he can see a real need for people in that age bracket. They're also usually reasonably financially stable, so they can invest in themselves. Like, it's not a bad fit. I just wonder if I think there's at the other end of the scale, there's a lot of concern around children and obesity and, you know, fitness for kids and getting them off their iPads, you know, on their computers. Is there an area like that, some kind of age niche that would really interest you?
Sure. Of course, I've done a lot of it with kids over the years, mainly in schools, and we've done some after-school activities. I've done some after-school activity groups in the past. Look, I'm steering away from working with children at the moment. I think that was the thing with the last job as well. Something else was eating away at me with the Healthy Harold job. Something wasn't quite right. And I keep thinking, I think I need to get away from kids. I think, with all respect, I think I need to get away and work with adults.
Yeah.
I love the thought of working with teenagers, and I have to mention too, I'm very passionate about mental health. So it's not only physical health, big part of it. If you haven't got your mental health right, you're not going to work on your physical. You can't do your physical health, because if this is not working, the rest isn't going to work. So I think it would be more adults. I think when you're an adult, you can make those decisions, whereas parents are still making those decisions for kids.
Yeah,
and it's sad. A lot of parents are making the wrong decisions.
Yeah, and it is hard.
Can I say that?
Sell it. You have to sell it twice, don't you? You have to sell it to the kid and the parent. So then it's like a double sales call, every time you have to talk about your program that you're offering. Okay, so what I'm hearing is there's this real emphasis and enjoyment of fitness, but right now you need to make a decision about where you're going to be in order to go and do that next step. So you've got all the experience, you've got the passion, you've got everything that you need to go and work for someone else or set up for yourself, except that you don't know where you're going to be. So I guess the other option is, do you do all of this online?
That's a possibility as well. Yeah, are you talking about health coaching online?
Yeah.
Yes, but as soon as you said that, I had a little moment where I thought, once again, I'm isolated. I do not want to. I'm isolating myself. I live by myself.
Yeah,
I'm isolated now doing this this call, whereas I like to be out talking to people. I'll go down to the Rip Curl Pro today. I'm surrounded by people. It's a great vibe. Sometimes it's a bit overwhelming, but I think because last year was so isolating and lonely and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to me. It was quite a lonely life. Now I just want to get out and go talk to people. I think that's got to be a big part of my job. Okay. Well, I can do it.
I'm going to give
quite
you
well online
because I get the what I'm hearing is there's this not fear exactly, but this uncomfortableness around the technology side of things. I think we saw that a little bit this morning when we were trying to connect.
Yeah.
Then there's also the hesitance around not being in the same room as somebody else or not being in the same space, physical space as someone else. So they're really important to you. So I'm going to give you some homework and you'll have to get back to me later because we're going to wrap this up in a moment. But I'm going to ask you, while you're down at that Rip Curl Pro, which is a big surfing championship, I want you to see when you're connecting with people, don't just connect and say hi. Connect and say, hi, I'm a teacher trying to get out of teaching and I want to work in the fitness and health and wellness space. Do you have any ideas for me? Just start asking some questions.
Yeah.
Because if you're like, that is what a place to be. Like there'll be so many fitness junkies there, won't there? They'll all be right into that.
Oh, there's a lot around, yes. I should have been their masseur. I should have been travelling with them. There you go. I meet lots of people that way.
Yeah. So I've been to, not exactly the same, but I've been to a ukulele festival once and there were all these people buying new ukuleles, but they weren't tuned. And it takes quite a while to tune them because when you stretch the strings, they kind of go back to what they were. And you have to do it 10 times to tune it. So I'd say to people, I sat down on a chair near the guy selling them and I wasn't taking any money. I was just doing it because I had time and I was at a thing, it was fun. I just sat there and I tuned, I don't know, about 20 ukuleles one afternoon, I said to them, just go have a wander around and come back in about 10 minutes and I was just doing one after the other and then go back to the start and tune them again and then go back to the start and tune them again and then just come and collect it. And it was so much fun. I love that stuff, right? Because I was talking to people and I was playing the ukulele and I was listening to music and it was really fun. Of course, there was no money involved, but I wonder if, in a space like that where everyone's in a good mood and there's lots of excitement, that maybe it's a good opportunity for you to connect with some people and just see what's out there and go and talk to the people who are running. I guess there are stall holders there and maybe there's I don't know, are there stall holders there and people selling memberships to their gym and all that kind of stuff?
I haven't taken a whole lot of notice. We were on the beach yesterday, so I have to get back there today and open my eyes a bit more.
Today, go back to the actual festival part of it and have a look around and see if there's any good connections there to make. Because it sounds like this is really your happy place, and it might be a great opportunity for you to find someone. Most people get their new job not from their friends, but from the friends of friends, like the next layer of connections. They're called weak ties. And for people, it's a whole theory in psychology about it's because there's less, you lose less face if someone recommends a friend of a friend and then they turn out to be a dud. You know, they're no good. It doesn't matter so much.
Yeah, right.
Oh, well, I didn't really know them that well. Sorry, you know, a bit awkward, but it's not like recommending your best friend and they turn out to be a dud, right?
Yeah.
So there's less social contract kind of happening. And it makes it easier for people to recommend you. So maybe this is a slightly different context, but I think the stakes aren't as high. But if you just go and say, hey, look, I'm really interested in moving back to Newcastle and I'm thinking about this, any ideas, just have those conversations. You know what might come of it. And then be prepared to, you know, share your contact details or get their contact details so that you can follow up. And you might get home and go, what was I thinking? I don't want to live in Newcastle or whatever, but at least you would have begun that process. And, you know, in our minds, we have this reticular activating system. It's like, you know, when you're a kid and I don't know if you did this. My kids certainly did it. They'd say, punch buggy yellow. And if they saw a yellow Volkswagen drive past, they would,
of course,
they would punch each other. It was a bit of a weird game, but anyway. And when you start to look for, you know, something, you see it all the time. So I have a little blue Jazz car and I see them everywhere now. Like, I'm like, wow, they're all over the place, but I never noticed them before I bought that car. But now I see them in all the shopping centres. There's one parked in the next street from me and I never knew it was there until I bought my own. Like you start to notice. So I want you to go out today really with that radar turned on. What are the opportunities I can see here?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you get from that?
Yeah. It's also, I'm hearing that loud and clear, Elizabeth, and it's putting your energy where you want it to go. I'm very strong doing that. I can get what I want, but at the moment I'm holding off because I've got to be really clear about where I want to live. I have done a little bit of travelling in the last couple of years and my friends call me a gypsy. So I've got to make sure I'm either coming back here, which a place I love, or staying where I am and making myself happy down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks so much, Leisa, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
So after that conversation, Leisa and I, after we stopped recording, Leisa and I just chatted for a few more moments. And one of the things she said she was going to do was really give some thought to where she wanted to actually live, because that was going to inform her other decisions about work and about housing, obviously, and also just about relationships and other possibilities that might come from making that decision really clear in her own mind. So I think that was a pretty good outcome all in all. And I just want to say thank you too for being part of this experiment. If this is the kind of conversation you'd like to have, here are some ways we can make that happen. You can connect with me via my website, larksong.com.au, or join the Get Out of Teaching Facebook group, or send me a message. You don't need to stay stuck in a job that makes you miserable. I offer a free 10-minute triage call to people who are ready to explore possibilities for the future. So let's have a chat. You've been listening to the Get Out of Teaching podcast. Please share it with your teacher buddies, and for show notes and other resources, visit larksong.com.au/podcast.